All right, this one I got from actually I think from a friend who in like 11th grade, and he had the game, but he didn't have the Sega anymore. So he just gave it to me because he actually had, obviously, I mean, he had no use for it. And I mean, I've actually played it prior, I think like in 6th grade, because we would trade games with people back and forth. So, I mean, I already knew what it was. So it's really, it's really not that fantastic, I don't think. But that's pretty much how I feel about the whole Sonic series anyway. So, but he also gave me a bunch of like his regular Nintendo games, and because he didn't have a Nintendo, but he had the games, but I had a Nintendo, and so and he had a bunch of Mega Man games, and he really liked Mega Man games. So, and we both didn't have a PlayStation because we just really had no interest. I don't think we really did. I know that I didn't. And so, I mean, he would come over my house and play my Nintendo, because then he can actually play the Mega Man games on there. And then, I would go over to his house and play Super Nintendo over there. And so, I mean, and this is like when PlayStation was a thing. So we probably would have been really like laughed at and mocked because we were still playing like Nintendo and Super Nintendo and not playing like PlayStation or anything. But, and that was like in 99. And so, I mean, I guess you could probably like say we were doing retro gaming before it was even like a big thing, because most people were saying that they were doing it in like in 2002 and like in college and shit. But I mean, we were still doing it. Like, I was still playing my Nintendo in like I think 2000, but and my Sega. But sorry about that glare. Fuck, I'm trying to blind the fuck out of people. But that's pretty much where I got this, because I didn't pay one dime for it. So that's like pretty much it for that. But this fucking thing is was a total waste of fucking money. And it was this whole thing, like the 32X is like pretty much like Sega's last gasp for fucking air. Like, they knew that it was about to die off. So what they did was they basically, in like 95, they created a 32X, and basically it was just this thing attachment, and you just put it into the Sega, and you could play these games, and they supposedly like enhanced the graphics to like 32 bits, I believe. And Sega was originally just 16. So I think they doubled it. And if they didn't, I just showed off how my math skills are really bad. But anyway, yeah, I went and I bought this, I think, like 2 years after, and like nobody wanted this shit, because I think like the Sega Saturn was on its way out, and for some reason they put this out. It was just a cash grab, and it wasn't a very good cash grab because a lot of people didn't want it. And I think they only made there's not many games. There's not very many games for it because it stopped. very abruptly. And I went into a Walmart because they also had a Spider-Man game, and I really wanted it, and I really don't think I'm missing out on it because I played this, and it was awful, and I've heard nothing but bad things later on. So, but I went in there and I bought it, but it was completely marked down. That should have been my first clue. It was completely marked down, like ridiculously fucking low. I don't even know how low it was. But first, they had two things. They had this, and it was just this. It didn't come with this. It didn't come with the Star Wars game. And so I walked out, and I don't even know what happened. But then they were like, well, why didn't you get this or something? So I walked in and returned it. Then walked back and got this and came back and exchanged it. And went home, plugged it in. This thing's a pain in the ass. The fucking plug. It was to plug it in. It was horrible. To even just try to get it set up. And then I put it in, and I only had like one fucking game, because I found out later, like, all the games were discontinued, and nobody was carrying them. So I spent all that money for just this fucking shitty game, and it wasn't even that good. It's not a very good game at all, because, I mean, it's just boring, it's awful, and I don't like it. So, I don't know. I mean, people still don't want it. I mean, like, supposedly, like, you can buy this on eBay, I think, for, like, $2. Or, like, flea markets. I mean, just the system. I mean, this was supposed to be originally, like, retail price. It was like $100 fucking dollars, something in that area. Just for a fucking add-on. And that's all it was. I don't know. Overpriced piece of shit. But yeah, but there it is. There's a Sega right there. It still works. I have it plugged in, and really, I think I am looking into, like, maybe getting some more games for it later, but I don't know. That's pretty much it for the Sega games, because I don't have anything else, so.